Revenge of the Dreamers 3 Director's Cut by Dreamville. Ever since the making of the Dreamville album was released, everyone has been asking what happened to the songs we heard but aren't on the album. IB, J. Cole's business partner, went on record saying we may get them at some point. So here it is. How do we feel about it? Here's our honest review of the Revenge of the Dreamers 3 Director's Cut by Dreamville.
Director's Cut, Dreamville. We were one of those groups of people asking, where's the song with Dreezy and all of that stuff like that?
Yep.
So, are you happy that you got him?
Yeah, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I'm cool that I got him as well. How you feel about this album artwork?
I think it's pretty dope, man. Nice artist render of mostly everybody that was involved with the project. I assumed that there was more people than this, but they got all they could fit it on here. But it's really cool.
I call it discrimination.
What?
Because they didn't put the producers up here. They only put the artists. The producers played a major role as well.
I concur. Yes. That's a good
but
point.
if the producers are up here, I take that back.
Maybe they're on the full booklet, you know, when you turn it around and they're all there.
Possibly.
Could be.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The flow of this project, man, it was just a continuation.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want to say?
Yeah, basically continue the flow. I guess you can say in the best way they could, order it around. So yeah, just continue it from the last part.
Highlights. So I'm only starting from 19. I'm not. Y'all want to see us review that? Go back and watch the other review.
Right.
I'm starting with Big Truck.
Yeah.
Now, first off, the first thing that comes to mind as far as highlights is Reason and Kaz show their ass on this project.
Man.
If they got a joint project together, that joint would probably be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Every time I heard Kaz, he was going off.
Yeah.
Every time I heard Reason, he was going off.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, they must have been putting in work, going from studio session to studio session. We already know what Buddy was doing. We already know what Earth Gang was doing.
Yeah.
So overall, I was glad to hear these cast of characters. I want to say that I was in. I'll save that for the lowlights. But Big Truck came on. That joint was really dope. Still Up by Earth Gang and Reason. I was extremely happy to hear them have some type of collaboration together. It's always good to hear Omen on late nights. So Bussin' featuring Ari Lennox was actually a pretty solid song. Same as Passcode. I like the vibe that they created in Passcode. Everybody was needed for that song to kind of come up the way it did. Note chorus. I love the verses that we got from the artists. I'll just leave it at that. Disgusted featuring Kaz and Childish Gambino was dope.
Childish Major.
Oh, Childish Major. Yeah, my bad. Childish Gambino ain't doing shit right now. Still Dreaming featuring Lute and Black and JID. Crazy. And then Revenge. I love how it felt like Ari Lennox was being used as a sample-like portion to the song.
Yeah.
I love the way her voice sounded on that track. Shout out to everybody involved with that.
Yeah, man. Starting off with Big Black Truck was something else. I'm a big fan of JID, and I believe, he continued the tone that he carried from the latter portion of the album. So it wasn't only right to start with him, But what I most like about the flow of this director's cut is that we got Dreamville, melded with other artists, I felt like we got the core Dreamville team mostly on this part. So it was dope to hear, like I said, Omen, Kaz, Baz, everybody just flowing together with a couple added people like Reason and Childish Major like that. So hearing that, Reason stood out to me the most, especially on, Revenge? Because that whole line about him getting the call from Dreamville and him accepting it, but then he was sad because his boy was trying to chase a dream last year and it died. I felt that shit. Reason was giving you bars to really, really feel on here, and I really love that. Baz and Kaz showed out on here, especially Kaz, because I feel like most people don't really pay attention to him, but he got the bars on here for real. It's always great to hear Omen. I want to hear him more. What was it? Passcode with Ari Lennox, Buddy, and man, that whole track was just fire to me. The whole vibe that they had was great. And then there was one more I wanted to touch on. I think it was Still Dreaming. I really love Black on there. Just his vibe, because I felt like he was I'm used to his style, but I don't really ever hear him he really spitting, and I felt like he was spitting on that. So it was fire. It was dope.
Lowlights, man. I don't really have a lot to say as far as the lowlights. I just want to say that no chorus, the vibe on it's like I like what the artist brought to it, but the hook and the beat just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Up Away, the hook is super trash. Vince Staples be letting me down sometimes. I don't know what it is. He came with the bars in his verse.
Yeah.
But for I hated the intro where he like, yeah, well, where JID at? Because he was amping it up like it's about to be crazy. Yeah. And then you drop that whack ass hook up away. Fuck out of here with that shit. Aside from that though, that's really the only negative thing I really have to say about this project is next time just don't call Vince Staples. I know, and if you do, don't let him control what happens on the song. Just let him do his verse and get off of the track, because I feel like he always tends to add this extra stuff that ain't even necessary. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Vince Staples, but don't give him control over your track. Like, because it just felt like he just took over the song when everybody else on the song killed it, including him.
Yeah.
It's just all of the added stuff was not necessary. And I feel like that was Vince Staples' signature stuff.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Up and Away, I did not need the chorus. I felt like that was like a distraction from the bars. Same thing with no chorus. Like, I felt like that whole, no chorus kind of thing was kind of just trash. But other than that, I think I didn't really have no lowlights. The only thing I would say, this portion of the album wasn't as amped as the original, but I think it served its purpose because we had a lot of that. So it kind of balances out the already stacked track list we had. So when you think about it that way, it doesn't really seem as, bad as I think it is, but, really chill, mellowed out into the album.
Final thoughts, man. I see why you didn't necessarily go out on a limb to add some of these songs on the project that originally, but I do want to say that it still is cool to see that out of that long session, y'all got a lot of dope records, a lot of dope verses, a lot of dope collaborations out of it.
Yeah.
So that just proves that way of recording brings out the best in people. So even though I felt like this may not be better than the first 18 joints on the project, there is some gems to be had here.
Yeah. And
Dreamville just showed you that their roster of talent is amazing. Now, I don't know why everybody ain't on them yet. I don't see why people is listening to some of the stuff they listening to. But this kind of like restored some of my faith in hip hop after listening to these youngins over the last couple weeks, like just talk down on like rapping. This kind of just showed like there are some young spitters out here still doing it like everybody else has done and still finding new ways to have a take on things like that. And this was still dope body of work.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this just shows, I feel like this just reminded everybody about this incredible experience that, we got to witness the fruit of, whatever they did in the studio. And it's just like, knowing that they cut these out kind of makes you think like, damn, this probably was hard to cut out, because some of these were really, really great. But at the same time, it makes you appreciate the time and effort that goes into creating a project as large as this, because I couldn't imagine how it was on the cutting floor in the studio, like, okay, we got to put this one out. No, let's get this one in. Like, I couldn't imagine how that process was. So I think this project served its purpose as a director cut, because it gave us, the cut that I guess they probably wanted to put out, but they don't want to give people too many songs to, bear with. So I think it served its purpose greatly.
Final grade. First off, I just want to point out another thing. The whole second half of the album did it without Cole, which was another pivotal moment that people may kind of overlook.
Yeah.
But overall, man, I'm giving it a check. This is a huge body of work. It was a huge undertaking to do a project like this. The way they decided to do it, it came out excellent. Shout out to everybody involved. I can't think of anybody that was a letdown other than Vince Staples' creativity being implemented a little too much. Just let them do the verse and get the hell out like you did with Dreezy and a lot of those other people. But this was a really good project, man. And I like the way they kind of ended the decade with what they did, and how they kind of kicking the decade off with this too as well. So you can kind of consider it in both sides of the decade.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I feel like this is an amazing body of work from start to finish. most definitely a check for me. There's something for literally everybody now that we got the director's cut. So it's just like you can't be upset with this project. Like there's something literally for everyone in this.
Super facts.